came in and he had a dead cat. I was abused by him for about 4 years, from 3.5 to 7. He would either use Velcro or saran wrap to hold you in a chair. And he put 2 wires underneath my legs that were connected to a battery. My stepfather just said, if you ever tell anybody what I've done to you, we'll do that to you. The first memory I have was being tied to a bed. I was about 3.5. And by one arm to a bedpost. It was in an apartment. And he came in and he had a dead cat. And he walked up to me and he said, I want you to cut the head off this cat. And I had been tied to the bed all day. On the bed, off the bed. It was one arm. And I'm just like, so he comes in, then, fear turns into terror. And he says, if you don't cut the head off this cat, it was dead. But he goes, I'll cut your head off. So I grabbed the knife, and I remember being terrified. And I think that's the first time my brain split, where it literally, the pressure and the fear of the trauma, your brain splits in order to still function. And me as a child went away, and then I developed this personality that said, yeah, I'll do it. I don't care. And then I cut the cat's head off. And then he placed the carcass of the cat's body, the guts were out, but he placed it on, I remember blood dripping down. There was some type of ritual that he was doing. I mean, it was just the act of it. And there was one other person that came in, and then I just remember him cutting me loose, put me in the shower to rinse off. We later talked to a head voodoo person out of New Orleans, and they explained that in the dark aspect of voodoo, a young virgin boy is the greatest deal to gain power. That's the closest thing I could think of to it. But, and then he did a process over, I was abused by him for about 4 years, from 3.5 to 7. But some of the things he did, I've never talked about it because I never wanted anybody to ever do things to another kid. But I've been in this space now, helping kids. And there's just no secrets anymore. It's just bad people do bad things to kids all the time. So yeah, I've been electrocuted. And yeah.
What was how many brothers and sisters did you grow up with?
There were 6 of us in our house. So 4 by one dad, 2 by another dad. So they were half sisters. And it was their dad that, our stepfather, that did the abuse.
Did he perform the abuse on everyone?
We know he raped my older sister at, I think she was 11, 12 years old. And because she later spoke of it, one of my brothers, through all of this, he called me one time, and he's passed away since, but he goes, Victor, I suffered bad things too. And then he hung up. And he wasn't willing to revisit it. So there was abuse. I've never, nobody likes to talk about it to this day. My sister, the one that was raped by him, is the only one that actually came on film to share. And it took a lot of courage for her to do that. So yeah, it was very systematic, where I remember he would either use Velcro or saran wrap to hold you in a chair. and he put 2 wires underneath my legs that were connected to a battery. And then it was back when all they had was the film. They would run through a little projector, and he wanted me to watch a film of a young boy being raped in a jungle. And I'm seeing the images, and I would shut my eyes, and then he would touch the battery, and it would shock me, which would open my eyes, and I'd see an image and shut it, and he'd do it again. And he did that long enough to where you give up your will, and that's the ultimate. You just give up your will, and you either split, and then after whoever they were, it wasn't him, raped this kid, they cut him up with a machete. And my stepfather just said, if you ever tell anybody what I've done to you, we'll do that to you. Brought me to a morgue one time. And this is where pedophilia, there are networks. It's the one club that nobody tells on anybody. And that's why the Epstein's list ain't out. Because people don't want, they keep things close. But I remember being at a morgue, again, wrapped to a chair, and watching them dismember a corpse, and then watching them burn it. And he's like, if you ever tell anybody, it's reinforcing of fear to keep you quiet. And it works, because those are what I call, lies based in reality. And those are the hardest ones to ever get over. When he dunked me in a tub till I passed out, and he would do it multiple times, but I remember passing out, waking up on the bathroom floor to him resuscitating me. And he says, boy, don't ever forget I'm the one that gives you life. And he did. He resuscitated me, or probably would have died. So as a kid, you can't process that outside of I'm bad, he's good. And it gets all convoluted, but that's the hardest thing for people to work through, or when nobody else knows. So you live in silence, you live in fear, and you still suppress all of that stuff. You compartmentalize it, but it never goes away until it's dealt with.
Where was your mom during all this? Was she aware that this was happening?
So because of my mother's abuse, and my mother's still alive, and I always want to show her honor, I would say that I can't hold her accountable for what she did or didn't know. And, it's affected all of us. And I just visited with her the other day, and she still laments. She says, I wish I'd have known. And, but at one point she did know, and some bad things that were happening. And she told me literally like 2 days ago, she said,
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.